Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The deepening crisis within the Labour Party, a party that once galvanized millions under the obedient banner, is now fractured by leadership disputes and conflicting loyalties. The latest twist, you ask. The 2023 presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, has rejected the peace pact brokered between his former running mate, Senator Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, and the embattled Julius Abure-led faction.
The move has sent tongues wagging amongst the party's ranks and raised serious questions about the party's unity ahead of 2027. Now let's break it down. Dati Baba Ahmed made a surprise appearance at the Abure-led National Executive Council meeting, calling for reconciliation and unity. He even recognized Abure as the authentic chairman. But Obi's camp swiftly distanced itself. The obedient movement, led by Dr. Yunusa Tanko, declared unwavering loyalty to the Nenadi Usman-led caretaker committee, the faction backed by Obi and Governor Alex Oti. Was Dati's move a genuine attempt at peace or a political miscalculation? And that would be a great place to start the conversation this morning, as we're joined by the spokesperson of the Labour Party in Lagos State, Mr. Ife Salako. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good to be here again.
That last place I ended was the first place I will start the conversation, because I think all of us were shocked when we saw Dati sitting side by side with Abure wearing red, because the party is not red for the party. But would you say that it was how did it come to you when you saw Dati in that NEC meeting?
Well, I wasn't surprised. Just like I won't be surprised if there is another meeting tomorrow and Mr. Peter Obi himself is sitting right there. Because it is politics. It is a way to look at things, in different directions. And for the fact that an election happened recently in Lagos State, and whether we like it or not, unfortunately, the Nenadi faction couldn't actually feed any of the candidates. I was really into the process of the election, and I could tell that there are some candidates that were actually coming from that, structure, and they wanted to get, tickets and all, but they couldn't. As a matter of fact, at some point, a letter came from INEC, all the way from Abuja to Lagos, to say, you have to recognize the Abure-led faction, candidates, and that was what sealed it. So, whether
the Abure-led faction is the legit faction.
Okay, so there was a Supreme Court judgment that we all saw, and everybody believed that. I mean, the judgment was actually in favor of the Nenadi faction, but the umpire, INEC, right after the judgment, I was watching them closely. At first, I saw that, Abure's name was retained on the website as the chairman of the party, and it was just like that for about a week. And I went back to check, because at some point, INEC at the time said they were studying the judgment and they were going to come out. Up till now, we've not heard from them. By the time I went back to check on their website, I saw that they've written, it's still Abure's name, but now in brackets, by court order.
Okay. By court order.
By court order, and it's there now. So it means that they are interpreting either the judgment that says, that Abure still remains the chairman, or they are interpreting the Supreme Court's judgment to mean that, it's in favor. But the problem right here and right now that may seem to be the determining factor between the Nenadi faction and, of course, the Abure-led faction is INEC. If INEC decides where to go about this, it will come to an end and all of this. So whether it is now on this side or on the other side, I don't see any problem, in any member, or if you call yourself a member of the Labour Party, to attend any meeting that the Labour Party
Are you only saying this now because you are seeing that INEC is on the side of the Abure-led faction, or INEC seems to be on the side of the Abure-led faction? If the judgment was in the other way, in favor of the Senator Nenadi-led Usman faction, would you have still had the same?
I would have to stick to the facts and the reality. If INEC today comes out to say, we have studied the judgment, and the judgment is in favor of Senator Nenadi. I mean, and that's where it will be. I said there was an election. People wanted to get tickets. They couldn't because they seem not to be coming from the recognized structure of the party by INEC, and that is a major problem.
Now, let's talk about this recent move by Senator Dati Ahmed to reconcile with the Abure-led faction. He was in a meeting and he said finding peace in Labour Party is his interest. Why would you think the obedient movement and Mr. Peter Obi will distance themselves for what is perceived as a positive thing? There's been internal wranglings in the Labour Party for quite some time now. Isn't it positive for gladiators to sheath their swords and find peace in the Labour Party so people can move forward? What reasons would you think led to Mr. Obi's decision?
I mean, for all it was, Mr. Obi's major block of followership is with the obedient movement, and from all indication, the obedient movement, you know, seems to be more sympathetic towards the Nenadi's faction. So it was also kind of like, I'm sure it was to some extent shocking to some of them to even see Dati in that. So and it's not. It's not far-fetched to see that the obedience structure, because the statement as it is, although, I mean, the way the media will coin it is that Peter Obi distanced himself, but it was Dr. Eunice Otanko that actually spoke and said,
the obedient movement.
For the obedient movement, apparently, you know, that they, as the obedient movement, does not recognize that meeting. They were not informed about it. They were not, you know, carried along with, you know, in that meeting. And so, if Mr. Dati on his own was invited for the meeting, it is all well and good. And for all it's worth, I mean, there was going to be a twist at the end of the meeting, claiming that, oh, Dati has gone to take the presidential, you know, candidacy of the Labour Party, which was outrightly wrong. Thankfully, he said it, you know, clearly that he was there for peaceful, you know, moves to see how we can bring everybody together and get things done and move forward. Because for me, as a person, I think the more divided we are, you know, the better the ruling, you know, party, you know. So I just see. I want everybody to come together. If the Abure-led faction is going to sit with Nenadi tomorrow, is going to sit with Mr. Oti, is going to sit with Mr. Peter Obi himself, and say, all of us, let's come together and find a way to save this country. Because, you see, for 2027, for me, it is anything but APC. And that's where I am now. My stand as a person.
We made that mistake in the past. It was anything but Jonathan, and we ended up with something.
So yes.
Metrics.
So I insist. Roll this back to 2015. I will still insist that anything but Jonathan, because you cannot tell me that you met this. I'm an employer of labor. I have managers that are managing my business, and I cannot employ a particular manager who then probably runs down my business. You know, if I'm probably making 100 naira before you came as a manager, and I start making 16 naira, and I'm going to like 14 naira. And I said, no, I don't want this manager anymore. And I'm not going back to the agency who gave me this manager. I'm going to go to another agency to get another manager. If I get another manager and hold on, and that manager, again, doesn't do what I wanted, I will not go back to the former manager and say, oh, because you ran it down, and this one too is running it down. No, I won't go back. So if I cannot do that to my business, I won't do it to Nigeria. So and I hear this thing a lot about, we made, I mean, it wasn't a mistake. Jonathan was running the country aground. He was not doing the right thing. It wasn't. He wasn't even in charge.
So if you look at the metrics of economic indices, the price of food and what have you, the quality of life, and compare that to 8 years of the APC on the Buhari, you would say I mean, things were...
That they made it worse. They don't mean that was doing the best at the time. They made it worse. And we can't now say that, oh, it's almost like saying we have to embrace the worst.
What's the guarantee that 2027, your alternative to the APC government of President Tinubu will do a better job? Because
the APC structure is a very, very criminalized structure. The APC structure is not a progressive, as it were. I mean, they have it in the name, but it is the opposite, that we're seeing. Of course, from the Buhari, to the Tinubu that we're saying today, I know, because I'm into this politics, I know why Nigeria is not moving forward and may never move forward under APC. The APC structure believes and embraces corruption to a large extent. If you're in the APC, look at the governor of Kogi State. What's his name again?
The
former governor rather of Kogi State. Yahya Bello, with 80 billion, naira hanging on his neck. The president from the presidency, he was being congratulated. It was being there are optics. There are things that you can see.
You could argue that the case is in court and he's not been convicted. And they were just wishing him a happy birthday.
Anyway, from the presidency.
Yeah. From the presidency. So, see, let me share a gist here. Internal gist. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm sure people who know this thing knows it. See, there is a governor, right? That was a sitting governor. There is the accountant general of the state who got some money and did not remit it to the governor, but took it to the godfather of the party. The godfather of the party, took the money. The state governor, right, went for the accountant general. It was, according to what we heard, he even went physical, almost like, landing a slap on his face. And this case got to the godfather. And how did the godfather resolve this issue? He said, you brought this money to me, you're going to be the next governor. He became the next governor. That is the APC structure.
Wahala. Okay.
The kind of structure that empowers criminality.
Okay, let's pause a bit on the APC. Let's come back to the Labour Party front.
Absolutely.
Now you say everybody wants peace. I'm also aware that the Governor Alex Otti and Nenadi Usman-led faction did have a meeting last week where they actually spoke and were pushing for peace to happen. But it seems like Peter Obi is indifferent. He doesn't really mind about this peace accord. What would you say about the coalition? If Peter Obi move with the ADC, are we going to see a mass movement of people in the Labour Party like yourself to also the ADC? Or are you still going to remain in the Labour Party while throwing your weight?
Physically in Labour Party, spiritually
they've even called it a political name. They call it the Wike style of politics, where you stay here, you camp here, while you are throwing your supports there. I mean, they've named it after the FCT minister.
Well, I'm a firm believer in Mr. Peter Obi. Everybody knows that. I can't even hide it. And of course, I believe in his personality. I believe in his ideologies. I believe that he has the attributes to make Nigeria a better place. So, if it comes to Peter Obi going to the ADC, which he hasn't, right? But if he comes there, it's not a case of me going to the ADC. There is going to be a major influx of people going to that party. Look at what he did with the Labour Party. The Labour Party, the last time the Labour Party had a relevance was maybe 2014 or thereabouts with Governor Mimiko. Way back then, there was nothing until he moved to the party. The day Peter Obi chose Labour Party instantly got national relevance. If this man decides to go to any other party, you never can tell what could happen. He has a cult followership that you cannot take away from him. So I want to see a peaceful coming back to the first part of what you said, I want to see a peaceful coexistence between the internal structure of the Labour Party and even other parties that are coming together to form the coalition. Because with the coalition, right, there is a major, a good chance of, winning the APC.
But this coalition you mentioned is an association of strange bedfellows, and right here, this morning on this show, you have demonized, not to use that word, you've castigated the APC's rulership from Buhari to the 2 years of Tinubu, but a huge majority of the personalities in this ADC I mean, just 2 years ago, were ministers under the same APC government. So what could have changed?
So, I mean, Nigeria is so...
Is it not still going to be the same APC in another...
You cannot... It's a case of Jesus and his followers. You will still have that Judas. You can't do without.
But when you have 12 Judases, almost 12.
God forbid.
We can start counting.
We can start counting them.
No. So here is the thing, right? I was going to say, like, the Constitution of Nigeria has made, has put too much power in the center. And even some political parties, adopted this kind of thing, including our own Labour Party, right? I'll give you an instance. For the chairman of the party, of the Labour Party, to be removed, for example, right? I believe Article 18 or so of the Constitution states that they have to call a convention. Who is going to call the convention? The chairman. For him to be removed. And of course, he will be the one to call the convention. He will be the one to determine who and who will be there. And so it just means that this person cannot be removed. What am I saying? The too much of power that has been concentrated to the center, it makes it easy or harder for anything to happen in the nation. So if you talk about people that are part of the coalition, yes, they are part of it. But when it comes to who is going to be the president of this country, that is when we will now know if there's going to be a difference, or we're just going to have, same thing coming around.
Okay, I mean, it feels like there's just a lot, a lot of drama going on here in the Labour Party, because just weeks ago, initially it was the Labour Party saying that there's a ticket for Peter Obi to run unopposed. After a while, they withdrew that ticket. After a while, just 2-3 weeks ago, Arababi was on this show, boiling, saying that they gave Peter Obi 24 hours to
48
hours to leave the party, or else he will open a can of worms and expose Peter Obi.
Has he opened a can?
Maybe Mr. Peter Obi called to beg.
Just the way he begged Reno to recommend him to Atiku.
So the question now is, how do we navigate all of this? Just last week or 2 weeks ago, he had said, they had withdrawn that ticket, they had asked him to resign from the party. So what will a peaceful resolution look like? If we're hearing on the one hand, Yunus Atanko, saying what he said with that press release, and we're seeing on the other hand, Dati Ahmed sitting with him to reconcile, what will a peaceful reconciliation in the Labour Party look like?
I mean, a peaceful reconciliation is just, is between Barrister Julius Abure, Governor Alex Oti, and of course, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. You see, the day these three people sit down, and of course, we have to now bring, Senator Renade in. So if these four people sit down and say, okay, we want to agree on the way forward, that is peaceful, reconciliation. That is moving forward. There is not going to be anything beyond that particular, arrangement. So every other thing that is happening now is until these people, when they come to this table and they agree, they will agree. They may never even come to it. Unfortunately so, they may never come to it. But at the end of the day, we are all looking for who can actually save Nigeria from the old problem that is facing this country right now.
The ADC.
Who?
The ADC.
I said who, not the party, not the structure.
And the ADC, do you believe that the ADC can provide the who that will save Nigeria?
Because the last time an incumbent was ousted was through a coalition. She's right to ask that question.
So, I mean, of course, the ADC seems to be like the new bride in town now, and everybody is, coming around and sweeping around. It's fine. the reality of it is, he might be the one to produce the next major presidential candidate for the 2027 election. And I believe that if anybody emerges through that platform, the person will get some sort of attention, and people would want to know who
even if
it
the
is.
person that emerges is, for example, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, because we've seen Dumebi Kachiku saying that he believes the ADC structure is set up to push forward Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And if you take note, of all the presidential candidates at the last elections, he's the only one that has actually resigned from his party officially to be a member of the ADC.
And
presidential candidates.
Dele
Momodu, yes.
Dele Momodu didn't run in the last elections now.
Well, he never did. Well, I mean, I know I saw his own resignation. So here's the thing. I'm not privy to the internal conversation of these people at that level, right? There are some conversations that we've heard. I will give just an idea of what might happen that I know of. On a particular space, Mr. Peter Obi himself said, clearly that if I am given a one-term condition to run on the platform of the ADC, come 2031, May 28th, I would not wait until May 29th. I will pack my things and leave.
But do you think that's right? Is one term enough to solve the problems?
One term of a 4 years. So
is that
no term. America has not solved their problems to date, but they've moved from where they were to a better place. Nobody is going to solve the problem of Nigeria. In an 8th term, give the person 8 years. The person is not going to solve the problem of Nigeria. The person is going to move us from one particular level in the right direction, and that is what we need. That is what we need. We need to see the trajectory of growth, not regressing. That's the only thing that is missing here. That's what this government has been doing in the last 10 years that they've been there, taking us backwards constantly. So we're saying that one man can take the leadership of this country, and for 4 years, he can put us on the right path. That's all we need. It can be done in 4 years. Yes.
4 years.
Yes.
Okay. When we had Mr. Obambi join us, he said, just as Oliver mentioned, that Peter Obi has been suspended. Also, it's 48 hours, which, of course, he decided to let go the second time he joined us. But he made a little announcement that the Labour Party will be unveiling his presidential candidate. It's going to be a woman. I don't know if you are aware. Let me use the word aware, not aware.
Or you didn't
He's keeping his cards very close to his
Yes. I mean, Abambi is at the national structure of the Labour Party. I am a Lagos State spokesperson.
So have you not heard that there's a...
I haven't. There is no. I've not gotten a communique to say that we're going to have a female candidate for the presidential candidate for the Labour Party, and that is even on its own. Whatever it is, I am not privy to that information, and I will just be quiet over it because I don't know who the person is. Maybe Olive is there.
No, you cannot believe.
This question might sound preemptive, but if Mr. Peter Obi doesn't emerge as the preferred candidate of the ADC, would you throw your weight behind the person, the anointed candidate?
It depends on it personally, and that's me personally. It depends on the person. It depends on.
And do you expect Mr. Peter Obi to support the candidate that emerges if he isn't the one? Because you have serious heavyweight politicians that all want to be president. In the fold of the...
I mean, that would be Mr. Peter Obi's call. I'm saying that if another candidate emerges that is not Mr. Peter Obi, and if Mr. Peter Obi is not on the ballot, under another party or any other platform, if the person is worth it, why not? Why not? We can consider.
My final question to you would be, in line with what we've seen Dati sit with the Abure-led faction, all because there should be peace, whether we like it or not. And then we're also hearing, like you also mentioned, was Mr. Tanko who made the statement that Mr. Peter Obi did not agree with that. Are you certain that the Labour Party will be able to hold its house together before 2027, or are we going to expect any breakup if care is not taken?
So just like it shocked every one of us to see Mr. Dati at that meeting, 2 days ago, it may shock you all tomorrow to see Mr. Peter Obi there, and any other person. For me, politics is very flexible, especially the way it is in Nigeria. So anything, 2027, and to even say that this is 2025.
But the opposition I think we have long past that this is 2025 conversation. 2027 began
this is the first time that a president got into office, and right after the first year in office, he has started campaigning for another term. It is ridiculous.
He said he's not the one, and it's just the fans that are doing all these things.
He's not the one, but of course, he sees this when he's coming from the airport now. He can call them and say, "Who are you people? I mean, we have not started work now. Take these things off." He can do it.
I don't think we've had it this early in the history of
we've never
current
democratic
experience.
Super early.
Long.
Professor Alako, thank you for joining us. We just wait in the next few weeks. We'll see what happens to the Labour Party. If the Labour Party will finally mend fences, and if the female flag bearer will step down.
I just want to say finally that I want to use this opportunity to appeal to INEC. INEC should help the Labour Party and do the right thing. That's all I'm just going to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Are you seeking...